Okay, so today we're going to use XMD's hot runner system mockup tool that we have. This will allow you to get a mockup of your manifold system into your design at a very, very early stage so that you can get the design ordered as soon as possible. We're hearing from a lot of our XMD customers that a lot of the holdup is they get the design as far as they can as far as the mold design goes, and then they're held up waiting for their manifold vendor to get them even a preliminary design. So the idea is to order that manifold as soon as you possibly can. And so, but the designers, they're always so tied up with other things that they end up pushing it off. So we've created a tool that allows you to put this manifold design in, this mock-up, very, very rapidly, so that you can do this right at the beginning of your design stage and save you some time. So what we're going to do here is we're going to put in a 4-drop manifold system. So we're going to go into our design navigator. We're going to right click on stationary side, and we're going to tell it to plate create. So we have our generic plates, which does our lifters, slides, inserts, things like that. But in this case, we want to do a hot runner system. It'll come up with some information on the hot runner. Maybe you're planning to get this quoted at a few different vendors, so we'll just put TBD in there for catalog number and vendor. You can always edit that after you know who it's coming from and what all that info is. We wanted to draw in the 3D hot runner system, and we wanted to draw in the drop bores as well. And this will allow us to have something in our cavity block that we can work water around. Generally what I'll do is I'll kind of aim to be bigger than what I expect the drop bores to be. You may even be able to get some information from your supplier right away to put in those sizes if possible. If not, just put something in that is a guess that is hopefully larger than what you really need and gives you a little bit of space. We want a 4-drop system, so apply that. And we're going to use the mirrored function. So if we were to use custom, then you would just select all 4 at different positions. Quadrant would allow you to pick, let's just say there was 4. In this case, again, you would pick one location, and that identical location at each quadrant would also get a drop. In this case, we're just going to use the mirror function. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to also have it set to project the Z. So that way, because I have a cavity solid block, it will automatically work out the lengths of the drops for me. I don't even have to figure that out. If you don't have your design quite that far, you can turn this off and you could actually specify where the drop tips will be. All right, so we're going to use the mirror function as mentioned, and we're going to start our first location. So our first location is going to be at the center of this puck that I have drawn. Obviously, same thing, if you don't have it this far, you can put points or wherever you want to be able to select. You can even type in the XY values if you'd like. Okay. And now it's going to ask me here, indicate a quadrant for the mirror location. So the mirror location is going to be anywhere in this quadrant. I don't have to pick the exact location. I just have to pick in the quadrant. So just to kind of show you, I'm going to pick way over here, and you can see it drew the circle right here. Okay. All right, and then we're going to do the same thing for the third one. So that's going to be the center here, and the quadrant is going to be, once again, over here. It draws the circle there. So you can see 4 circles drawn for the locations, but I only really had to select 2 locations. Okay, we're going to go ahead and say OK so that it draws this in. Okay, so it's going to go ahead and draw in a mocked manifold. Once again, it's just a mock-up. It's something that we can now send to our supplier and say, okay, this is our manifold location, our drop locations, how long the drops are. Obviously, you put your engraving on the side of the block or something showing where top of mold and operator side is, so they can put all the fittings in the right location. And then you can go ahead and output this file. Right, so you can just turn on whichever plates you need, including the part data, output a step file, and your supplier will have a location. That's it for adding a mocked up manifold. Okay, so our next stage here is to bring in the design that we received from our vendor. Right? So what we're going to do is we would import, step or parasolid or whatever file type they send us, and just put them on dummy levels, non-XMD levels. So in this case, I put on 5001. I put their manifold system. I also separated the drop bores onto another level, and I color coded them whatever my company's specs are for clearance and critical holes. Right? That way I can show you a really cool feature for that as well. So what we want to do is we want to turn on our hot runner system in our cavity block. And what we're going to do is we're going to right click on hot runner system, and we're going to do a modify, right? And what we want to do is turn off the drop bores now, because now we have really specific ones that our supplier has sent us. And we also want to, while we're at it, update our vendor and catalog stuff since we know it. Okay, so I'm just going to put Acme for the vendor, and we'll just say the catalog number is whatever, right? So it's generally their project number, right? Whatever the project number is for that, for our vendor. And go ahead and say okay. That's going to update our design in our material list to have the catalog number and that vendor, and it's going to also remove those drop bores that we're currently showing in our cavity block. This will then allow us to use those drop bores we received from our manifold supplier and apply them to the cavity block instead. So now that we've done that, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do a swap. Okay? So we have our hot runner system, we brought it in. Now keep in mind, they don't always provide that system in the exact mold location depending on the vendor, so you may need to tweak that in the proper location. But then what you can do from there is you're going to tell XMD to swap the existing hot runner system that we have in there, the mock-up one, with this actual finished one. So we're going to right click on here and just do a swap in new data. So just as if you were swapping in new inserts or anything like that. Okay. And then what it's going to do is going to go ahead and swap all that information in with that hot runner system, which will include having it an external reference. So by it being an external reference, you're taking all that heavy geometry and that extra file size and you're putting it outside of our parent file, and which results in a smaller file for save times and things like that. All right, so now that has been swapped in. So now when I click on Hot Runner in my Design Navigator, right, as you can see, we have that is now part of our design. So the last thing we want to do is we want to take those drop bores and we want to make these custom subtracts, right? So we're going to go like this. We're going to right click on here. You're going to click on Add Custom Pocket, right? And now all you do is click each of those solids, right? Obviously you can do this with anything as well, any additional things, but the drop bores look really nice. Yeah, goes ahead and checks to that, and it'll treat these very much like your block and your solids and holes and stuff. So when you use your XMD interference checks, it will check your water to these bores to make sure that there's no issues. And that's it. You now have your hot runner system applied to your design.